welcome back to my channel. I talk about books, writing and other things as well. I'm not a booktuber, but I thought to do the Booktuber Newbie tag because I just wanted to introduce myself and the kind of books that I read and we'll talk about on my channel. However, I am not a booktuber in that I'm not going to be reading like hundreds of books a year to tell you a book recommendation every month or like a reading wrap up every month. I'm going to do those sometimes, but it'll be more like when I've got a lot to tell you, and it won't be that that's only the only thing that I use this channel for. Instead, this channel is also about my writing journey, my creative journey, my healthy journey, and just my life really. So yeah, without further ado, why did you start this channel? So I kind of just answered it. I wanted a platform to chart my reading journey but also my writing journey. I'm somebody who reads often and writes often. However, I don't feel like I've kind of hacked the type of writer and the type of reader that I am, and so it kind of feels nice to document it to help other people who are potentially in the same situation as me, because I don't see myself as a novice, as a beginner in these things, but I am kind of on the road like to intermediate. So I think that those kind of people are people who should talk more, because hearing from experts is very useful, but sometimes it can be intimidating when you are watching booktubers who are reading so many books, or they read really complicated books and you're like, oh, I can't do that, I'm a beginner. But instead, if you're hearing from someone like me who's kind of like middle of the road, then that could maybe help you in a new way. So I think that's why I wanted to start the channel, and also, like I say, to chart my creative journey, my writing journey, to help to have just documentation of it is really cool, but also to share that with other people, that they know they're not alone if their books aren't working, that they're writing or reading, that they're it's okay to kind of have ebbs and flows with your creativity, basically. The next one is, what are some fun and unique things that you can bring to YouTube? Again, I think that the thing that I like that I could bring specifically is that intermediate stage, and that I'm not going to be doing YouTube religiously. I'm just going to be honest. I'm somebody who has other goals, so obviously writing. I don't want to be documenting all the time that I'm not actually writing. I don't want to be documenting all the time that I'm not actually reading or doing my other things that I want to do, and being present in my life. I don't want to feel like everything needs to be documented. So some people, like, their dream is to be a YouTuber, or their dream is to be somebody who does video, but that's not like for me. I don't have a passion for video. Instead, I have a passion for the things that I'm talking about. So I think that the fun and unique thing that I'll bring is, like, when I do show up, it'll be videos that I really want to make. It won't just be ones that I have to make because I have to do it every week. I'll probably miss weeks. I might go a whole month without doing something. I just don't want to put any stress or pressure on my YouTube journey. And the fun and unique things is probably some books that you've not thought about, because I'm not going to be talking about the popular ones, to be honest, because I don't use BookTok. I don't go on TikTok at all. I watch loads of other YouTubers that are booktubers, but the ones that they recommend, I don't think they'll always be ones that I'll enjoy necessarily. And so as I go on my journey to discover what I like to read, I feel like I will be sharing with you ones that are perhaps not as spoken about as other ones, perhaps ones that are older, because if you're new to reading, then there's probably loads of books like that are older that are not new releases that you've never heard of. So if I'm discovering those and I share them with you, then hopefully that'll be fun and that'll be exciting for the both of us. What are you most excited about for your channel? Again, I've kind of just touched on this, but I'm excited to just share and document what my own journey is. I think that it's beautiful to document things anyway, whether it's in written form, whether you record yourself in audio, whether you record yourself in video, whatever. I think it's great to document your life, because then you can look back and see how much you've grown, how much you've learned. You can see when ideas hit. So like with my writing, I can, if I chart that and like document that, then I'll be able to be like, oh, I didn't realize that in April I was talking about da 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 da, and then ended up being in my story 2 years later. Like, that's really interesting. And to be able to know that, okay, I can look back on videos and know what books I rated highly and what I was saying about them, and then help me to make decisions about new books, like, that feels really exciting to me. And also I have to think about this, in fact, that like when I do become an author, when, not if, then having an audience will help me. Having people who know my taste and know what I like and know what I'm writing to get on board and be excited with me will be really great. I follow somebody called Christy Ann Jones, who's an Australian booktuber and writer. She's done that. She's documented, like, Come Write Project Teacup, she called it, and she, like, like write with me, and she'd tell you some of the story information, but not a lot, just enough to like inspire and intrigue. And that was really exciting to be on that journey with her, and now I'm rooting for her to get an agent so that she can get the book out so I can read it. And I would love to get to that position with you guys. Hopefully, obviously it'll take a lot of time to build an audience, but to get to that position with you guys and have you coming along that journey with me and supporting me in something that can be very solitary as a writer, is very difficult, that would be really exciting. But also to just recommend books to each other, that's what I want. I want you to be in the comments and say, oh, you like this book, here's a book that you should read, boom, thank you, that would be amazing. Why do you love reading? I've just always liked stories, so I'm not going to pretend that I was the child reader. I think a lot of people think that if you're a writer or you're a big reader, then you had to have always been that person. I wasn't always that person. As a kid, I think I read, you know, the obvious books like Biff and Chip books in the UK, and Disney books and that kind of thing, and fairy tales, but I don't think I read religiously. The one book that I remember as a kid was Princess Mirabelle. I think it's Julia Donaldson. That book sticks with me. I can still see the image, and it's beautiful to see the cover. It was really fun. I like that story, and I read Harry Potter as a kid because well, it was popular when I was a kid, but also my year 4 teacher, I think it was, Mr. Hewitt, used to read it to us in class as a treat, and I fell in love. Got all the other books, watched all the films. Yeah, it's my whole family loved Harry Potter. It was our bonding thing. So I think I love reading because stories are transportive, stories are very flexible, stories are a way of sharing emotion and understanding one another, and being in another country for a moment because you're reading a book set in that country, to learn about a language, a culture, because you're just reading it, to also understand people who are very different to yourself, who make different decisions to you. It helps with empathy, it helps with vocabulary, it helps with expression, it helps with belonging. Like, there's so much beauty in books, and I think that when I put too much pressure on myself to read fast is when I don't enjoy reading. But when I actually take a moment and be like, whoa, this is really cool. Like, I've just read a book called We Need New Names by No Violet Bluewayo, I think that's how you say it. She's a Zimbabwean author. My husband and his my other side of the family are Zimbabwean, so to read that was very unique, very beautiful, and I wouldn't be able to have that experience if not for books. Like, I could literally feel the experiences that she felt because she was writing in such a way that was very immersive, very beautiful, and have an understanding now that's deeper of my family, my extended family. So books are just magical in that way. That's why I love reading. What book series got you into reading? I've already said Harry Potter. My year 4 teacher read it to us, so that definitely got me into reading. But also I enjoyed the Percy Jackson series. What questions would you ask your favourite booktubers and how they read so much? I'd ask them, like, I'd say, based on the books that I've enjoyed, what books do you think I would enjoy? Because I think that they have such a beautiful breadth of knowledge, like such wide reading, that they could help me find books. It's just that I'm not able to sit down and ask them. So like, if I could ask for specific book recommendations, then I would love to do that. I would also ask them how they come up with their video ideas, because some of them have really cool ideas, like different challenges that they set themselves. And Jack Edwards in particular, he does quite unique book videos, but I can't think of any right now. So it's like, I would ask them, how do they get their unique ideas as well, and how do they find bookstores around the world, because some of them travel and read a lot of books around the world, and yeah, just like, how do you not only buy from Amazon, which I don't want to do all the time, and how do you support the industry but even on a budget? All these things. What challenges will be the hardest with Booktube? Like I say, I'm trying to take this quite blasé. I know it might sound bad, but I just don't want to put loads of pressure on this. I want this to be a hobby. I want it to be a creative outlet. I want it to be something that I do for fun. So the moment that it's not feeling fun, it's feeling restrictive, it's feeling like a pressure, I'm not going to do it anymore, because I've got so many other pressures that I put on myself, things that are more important, sadly. So, well, not even sadly, I have things that are more important. That's okay. But I do like this, and I do think it's fun. I do like doing videos every now and then. So I want this to be something that I just do casually, but I know that the hardest part of that will be building an audience. I also know that getting good quality videos will be difficult. So at the moment I'm recording on my phone with this weird makeshift tripod thing going on, like 2 tripods put together that don't hold my phone. It's really silly, and I've actually already recorded this video ages ago on my camera, but the quality wasn't very good. So I think that getting good quality, being consistent, and building an audience will all be very difficult. I know that my booktuber status will never be very high, because I'm not going to be a booktuber. I'm not going to be somebody who only talks about books. I'm not going to be somebody who is going to have lots of recommendations for you or lots of wrap-up videos, like I said. So those things will be a challenge, to still have a platform and an audience even without a specific niche like that. But I'm also just trying to see it as, I don't really care if I have lots and lots of followers and lots of people watching every week. I just want people who are here and they enjoy it and they like it and they keep coming, and that's all. That's great. That makes me happy. When did you start reading? Reading properly, I would say, is probably in adulthood, because as a teenager I don't think I read much at all. As a kid I did a little bit, but not religiously. But properly, like reading properly, would be in adulthood, early 20s. I got back into reading, I think, with like the John Green books. I know that they're for teenagers, but those books helped me get back into reading, because I love John Green. He's very easy to read. I think that YA has its place, and those people I know kind of like rat on YA, like, oh, if you're an adult and you're reading YA, there's something wrong with you. No, I love children's books. I love teen books. I think that all books for all ages, all genres have their place, and that we shouldn't be snobbish about it. It's just about your different tastes and your different energy levels, what you want from a book at the time. So I actually feel this real calling towards children's books at the moment, and I think that's one, because I probably will be a children's book author, that I'll probably write things that are for a younger audience, but also because sometimes you need that lightness and that happiness, that whimsy that you don't get necessarily from adult books, and that's okay. And sometimes you want to read an adult book, sometimes you want something that's a bit heavier, sometimes you want something literary, you want something silly and short or whatever. Like, it's okay to read all kinds of things. So yeah, I think I got back into reading by reading YA, by reading fantasy, but I have kind of veered away from those things now, and that's okay, because you grow as a person, you learn as a person, you change as a person. That's all good. So I think I started reading properly in my early adulthood. Where do you read? I read everywhere. I have the Kindle app on my phone, so I'm always able to read no matter where I am. I have a Kindle as well. I like to read obviously paperback and hardback and audiobooks. So I believe that if you're somebody who enjoys stories, who enjoys reading, who wants to read a lot, then you shouldn't turn up your nose at all other different formats of reading. Because the reason why lots of YouTubers read so many books a year is because they're reading in lots of different ways. So you can't be somebody who's like, I only read paperback, I only read hardback. That means that you're gonna limit the amount of books that you can read, because you're not necessarily gonna always have a paperback or a hardback on you. Some people, I know, carry them around, but that's kind of clumsy and cluttery to me. Instead, if you always have your phone, then you can read on your Kindle. Or if you're somebody who listens to audiobooks, then obviously you can read whilst you're driving, whilst you're commuting, whilst you're cooking, cleaning. That's what I do. I listen to audiobooks in the shower as well in the morning. So these help me to get through stories, because reading for me isn't about the act of reading, it's about the stories. So if you enjoy stories, you want to enjoy stories, then don't turn your back on audiobooks. It's going to help you to read more stories, and that's great. So I read everywhere. I read in all different types of ways. I just like stories, so I don't really care how I read or where I read. And the last one is, what kinds of books do you read? So I've kind of said already that I do like fantasy. I'm a fantasy author at the moment as well. That might change, but at the moment what I've been writing has been fantasy. So I do like fantasy books, but I haven't enjoyed them as much as I've wanted to, or as I thought I would. So I actually think that I enjoy reading more contemporary or literary books. I like reading children's, I like reading adult. I think young adult less so, but I do like young adult contemporary, ones that are quite emotional and talk about like social issues, but for teenagers, like that's still great to me. So like, you know, The Hate You Give, or The Very Large Expanse of Sea, they're just ones off the top of my head that I can think of. They're ones that are for teenagers, but they're actually really profound topics that are really difficult for even adults to appreciate. I think I've liked every genre really, which is hard, but what I'm learning about myself is that when it has a more reflective tone, when it's quite deep, when it's maybe talks about other cultures, when it has a unique or quirky spin on it, those things kind of tick boxes for me. I just like stories with emotion. The ones that I can take away from this year that I've liked the most have been ones that are filled with emotion, found family, relationships, people being there for each other, people who have maybe been underdogs and come through adversity. Those kinds of stories just tick boxes for me, and that can be in any genre really. So yeah, that's my Booktuber newbie tag. Like I say, I'm not really a booktuber, but I wanted to do this tag anyway to introduce myself. I won't be frequent on YouTube, I'm just going to be honest, but I do enjoy doing videos and talking sometimes and sharing my ideas and helping people and just bringing people together. I do have a podcast with my best friend. It's about writing. We talk about reading a little bit too if you want to check it out. It's called Don't Quit Your Daydream. I'll put it down in the links below, but you can get it on most podcast platforms. Yeah, thank you for listening. We'll see what the new year brings and what I end up talking about basically, and what I end up reading, and hopefully some great books, and you can recommend them to me too. But until next time guys, bye.